You're watching Community Conversations, a Concord TV production.
Hello, this is Community Conversations. I'm your host, Doris Ballard. This is a program produced by Concord Community TV or Concord TV. It is also a podcast, so you can listen to us maybe in your car or on your device. And this will also be on demand on yourconcordtv.org. My guest today is a very important new person here in the community, new mover and shaker in the community. She is our new Economic Development Director. And hold on to your hats, because when you get to know Suzi Pegg, you're going to see some great things happening in our city in the future. So with that, I'm going to welcome you, Suzi. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you, Doris?
Good, good. Thank you for being on Community Conversations.
It's my pleasure.
And you've been with the city 5 months now.
That's correct, and now into my 6th month.
6 months, and you're already making a name for yourself, which we'll talk about later. But we do detect an accent.
That is an English accent.
It is.
And it's not changed, even though I've been in America now 18 years. Oh. So I was brought up in Sheffield in the UK. It's a steel town in the north of England. And I grew up there. I've moved all over the UK in some places just to work and things like that. But then I met my current husband, and he decided to come and have a job over here in the United States, but to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania first. So I followed him, and we thought we'd spend a year in the United States and try it for size, see how we went. And we've been here 18 years.
Wow. Yes. Wow. Now, and when you were in the UK, what were you doing as a career?
Well, actually, I started doing all different things for the government offices. I've been a nurse, I've been an actress, yes, done all sorts. But then I used to be a brand manager for a fast food marketing company back in the UK before I moved over here. I carried on that marketing spirit, and now I'm doing that business development and marketing spirit for Concord.
Well, and marketing is a big deal today, marketing and communications.
Correct.
And we'll be hearing some of your ideas and some of your goals in a bit. But what was the biggest adjustment for you, realizing that you were not going to go back to the UK after a year?
I adjusted very well to the American lifestyle. As a child, I always dreamt of coming to America, and so it realized my dream. And when I came here, I felt at home. More at home here than probably the UK now, though I have not lost the accent. I really have not lost that accent.
Oh, well, and I hope you never lose it.
I doubt I will.
It's very endearing, actually.
Thank you,
right?
Thank you so much.
Okay.
But I think the adjustment is because you try to fit in. We became citizens 2 years ago.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
congratulations.
It was very important to do that and take that step. So I'm a big proponent for things like the immigration and stuff like that, because it's important for us. It was important to us. And this is our life now. I live here. This feels like home. Yeah. Well,
we know that we're happy that you've made Concord your new home. But I want to talk about your connections to what prepared you for the position here in Concord. We'll talk about that. But what position did you have that most prepared you for being the Economic Development Director for Concord?
Well, my position back in Pittsburgh was Vice President for International Business Development for a public-private partnership, which actually was the economic development organization for 10 counties in southwestern Pennsylvania, including Pittsburgh. So a very big region I covered on international business. That meant I looked after current businesses there that were international and attracted new ones, and did a lot of their international marketing efforts overseas. In fact, 2 years ago, I went over with the President of the United States, Obama, to Germany, and we met him and Merkel and various others represented the United States. So that kind of breadth of work and the rest of it prepared me very well for bringing that skill set here to Concord. I don't think people realize sometimes how much I did back in Pittsburgh, but I'm really happy that I've been able to come and bring that with me up here into New Hampshire.
So Suzi, what are some of the most proud moments that you have when you were in Pittsburgh in your position?
That's a good question. I think that my proudest moment was going over to the Hanover Messe with the President. I think that was major for us. And being part of that whole delegation of the United States in Germany we got a lot of press coverage from that, so it was good. I was also the executive director of the British American Business Council back in Pittsburgh, and I did a conference which is still named as one of the best conferences ever, and invited Prince Andrew to speak, and he did. And he came over, and I looked after him, including backing into him, which was quite funny. And then he saw me later in another year when I went over, and he said, "You're the lady that backed into me." So he remembered, but it was quite funny. But that was quite amazing, doing those two amazing things, and also being part of the G20, which was held in Pittsburgh. So being part of that and talking to world leaders was quite great.
So did it give you any inspiration as to how to attract business to your community?
Yes.
Your city?
Yeah. It's about communication, understanding their scratch, and you can itch it. Just keeping your eyes out for what's out there and getting that conversation going. Once you get that conversation going and get into the region, then they start to look at making an investment there.
If you're just tuning in, this is Community Conversations. I'm your host, Doris Ballard. It is a production of Concord Community TV, or Concord TV. It is also a podcast. And I'm thrilled to have as my guest today Concord's new Economic Development Director, Suzi Pegg. Oh, Suzi.
Yes.
Let's talk about why you applied for the position in Concord. What was it that motivated you? What attracted you to us?
So I felt I'd been 15 years in the job, and I didn't want to be what I call a lifer. And I was ready for a change. And so I'd been looking out for about 6 months for that new opportunity. And I read that job description for Concord, and I said, that's me all over. I said, this is me. And I applied, and the agent that was acting on behalf of the city said it had been filled. So I thought, no, this is me. This is meant for me. And I got a call a couple of days later saying, no, it's not being filled, and would you like to apply again? And I said, absolutely. And the first interview was via Skype, which failed on me. And I thought, oh no, great, technology failed on me. I was then invited up. I came up here, and a northeaster was coming through, so I had to go back. So I didn't get my first interview. And I cried on the aircraft because I said, this is me, this is for me. Everything about it says me.
You didn't give up.
I didn't give up. I came back, I did the interview, and I was sick.
Oh my gosh.
Can you believe that? But I didn't give up, and I cried because I thought, oh my God, I'm sick, I'll never get this job. And then I got offered the job, and there's so many elements about this that just reeks of me all over it, and I love this city to death for that.
What were some of the questions, without giving too much away, that you were excited to answer, that were right up your alley when you came for the interview?
I think all of the questions was exciting. But then I remember the deputy city director saying, well, why should we give you the job? And I said, well, because I'm the best there is, and if you don't take me, you're losing an opportunity here. And I was being honest, and the shock on their faces was, wow, she really told it how it was. And I thought, well, I'm not going to lie. It's because I am the best there is, and I see an opportunity here, and I want to go with the city and take it up to that next level. But yeah, there were a bit of shocked faces around that table.
Well, that set the tone for working with you.
Oh, yes.
And I think that you're here at a time when, perfect timing when we need you, that's for sure.
Yes.
All right, so your first impression when you came, you were on the job now, you started 5 months ago. Your first impressions?
The first impressions is that this is a city that's ready to go somewhere. I think the Main Street redevelopment really has kicked off this jewel in the crown in New Hampshire. The momentum from the city and the councillors is quite rewarding as well. They're very supportive of this development and moving it forward. So this is a city I think that's ready to move forward, and I want everyone to move forward with us. And I'm finding that exciting. I find when I talk to people about Concord, they're getting excited with me, and they've never been. And they're saying, well, can we come up and have a look? Absolutely, you can come up and have a look. And so to me, my first impressions are it's a city that wants to make good and go forward. The people are brilliant. They're behind me. It's a little slower than I'm used to, and I'm being honest. It's what it is. Sometimes I call it like being in treacle a little bit.
You should have been here 20 years ago.
I
When it's real slower. We're actually moving quite quickly now.
I think you're going at a pace that's like, whoa, this is unusual. But it's enjoyable at the same time. I really am having fun, and I'm having a ball, and that's just 5 months in. So,
any real surprises? I'd love to ask that question because people think when they're coming to a new position, a new location, new city, that your expectations are a certain way. Any surprises?
I think the surprises, I wouldn't call it surprises, it's the fact I'm learning about myself a little bit more. I've got my life-work balance back. I didn't think I'd have that back again. And that was a surprise to me, that this position offers me that and this city offers me that. In Pittsburgh, I never got that. And so that was a surprise to me. As for the city as it is, no surprises. I mean, it really is. It's a joy surprises when you find things and talk to people and little nuggets of information. But I think the surprise is how I'm kind of putting on that overcoat and trying it, and I'm enjoying it. It's a good surprise for me.
Great. If you're just tuning in, my guest is Suzi Pegg. She's the Economic Development Director of the City of Concord. The first position, this is a new position that the city created.
Yeah, that's right.
And being a female leader in Concord TV, I am thrilled that they had the common sense to hire a female. Yes,
Girl power.
With the extensive background that you have, where I can see that you're ready to chomp in at the bit.
Yes.
Having said that, you have immersed yourself in this community in just a short 5 months.
Correct.
You're a member of Rotary.
Correct.
You are been snapped up to dance in the New Hampshire Technical Institute or Community College's fundraiser, Dancing with the Concord
which
Stars.
I'm looking forward to, yes.
Right. Have you started rehearsing at all yet?
Tomorrow is our first kick-off lunch, so yes,
Wonderful.
we'll see.
So you don't know who your partner will be?
I certainly do. It's Councillor Nyan, so.
Councillor Nyan, that's going to be worth watching, I'll tell you.
Oh, yeah,
right.
please tune in. Please, everyone tune in. I just hope I don't put a step wrong.
Oh, it'd be great. And, but also, you're taking tap dance lessons.
I'm doing tap dancing lessons.
That's at Concord Dance Academy?
Correct, yes, with Cindy's Academy. I'm loving that.
That's great. So you're just meeting a lot of people very quickly.
That's the way that this post is supposed to go. I want people to have trust and faith in what I can do. But I've got to do that as well. I've got to immerse myself in that community. The people got to know who I am and come and feel comfortable with me. And to do that, it's also show a side of me that probably they would never see. But I'm loving every minute of it. It's, the tap lessons are interesting, I must admit.
Well, you have to have that work balance life, right? And
correct.
So I think I love that about you, Suzi.
Yeah.
Now, you have congratulations to say that you're now on the board of the Toronto Economic Development Corporation.
Well, it's actually the International
the international, even more. You went to the Toronto Conference.
Yeah.
And so it's the International Economic
Development Council.
That's a big deal.
It is to be invited on the board when you've got such big regions there, which is amazing. And they're all coming up to me and saying, tell us about Concord, because they knew me from Pittsburgh. And then they're saying, why did you move to Concord? And I'm telling them, and they're like, wow. And they said, Concord's extremely lucky to get you. I said, well, yes, there's that, but thank you for inviting me to the board so I can share the Concord story with other people too, and site selectors and the rest of it. So, yeah, they're watching me very close on what I'm up to here, because they said you wouldn't have made that move unless you really felt there was an opportunity, and I certainly do.
Now, we have here in Concord, of course, a lot of state offices here, nonprofits are here, so the tax base can be a little challenging. So bringing in economic development, bringing in new business into the Concord, that is a lofty goal.
It's a lofty goal, but it's also looking after what we've already got. So, people shouldn't forget it's about retention as well as attraction. It's a 50-50. So businesses out there that need help that are already here, we value them and we want them to keep here. So I want them to be able to talk to me if they need anything from the city or they're frustrated with something. I want to be the go-to person that they can count on. Yeah. Yeah.
I love that you equate your position as Economic Development Director as a personal concierge.
That's right.
I think, explain what you mean by that.
My personal concierge is that any company can come to me, especially the ones that are looking to invest, for example. I'm their hub and spoke. I'll hold their hand, I'll guide them through the process, I'll make sure they meet people that they need to meet so they can invest their project here. So the personal concierge it gives it on a personal level, that they can come and talk to a human being. They don't have to fill in a form, they don't have to do anything like that. They can actually talk to a human being and be handheld through the whole process, so we can make sure that their investment's not just here for the short term, but for the long term.
I love that you mentioned retention of businesses that we
Correct.
have here before we go out and bring new ones in.
Correct.
Because I would think if you're getting to know the business owners and the entrepreneurs and the CEOs, that you have to try to strike a balance.
Correct.
I would think that, so that you don't have overlap too much, so that you get any businesses a little bit, well, I'm here.
Yes.
You know, so how do you strike that balance?
I don't think there's any formula. I think it's just a personal, I've been doing this a long time, so you kind of know which way you need to be going and where you want to be targeting. You know what industries you want to be going for. I mean, we really are starting from scratch as a city on attracting new businesses and the rest of it, but that's fine. To have a blank screen like this is great. I love this. It's like being in a sandpit. But my personal experience is when I'm talking to companies, I know what's going to fit here. And typically I can find the ones that I know is going to be fit right in here, and those that may not work because it's a conflict of interest.
Right. Do you keep in mind, as an economic development director, do you keep in mind the workforce? Because
Absolutely.
I mean, if you bring in new companies, will they be able to, I'm sure that's a concern. You see signs all over town now hiring, you know, smaller companies or whatever. But how do you give confidence to a new business that they'll be able to find that workforce? And do you have any plans to bring employees to explain that?
So part of the economic development plan I'm actually pulling together is workforce is one of it. It's one of the legs. It's very important. And it's not just as a city, we have to do this as a region, so working with the state to do that kind of thing. One of the things I am trying out is a kind of a video that I'm going to be dropping through social media into the New England corridor, talking about Wish You Were Here. So looking at Boston and how people get so overcrowded, people are getting a little bit fed up of things like that. They want a sense of place, they want a place where it's safe and family. So kind of putting that video in places where it's a little overcrowded, a little bit too much, and saying, wish you were here, and then come and talk to me about coming up here. So workforce has been part of it, but I think we have to be on that all together through the state to try and attract that workforce.
So I'm thinking that perhaps your plan would include housing.
To some
places
extent.
for people to move to.
Yeah.
And there is a lot going on in Concord. We
Correct.
feel the energy
Yes.
of landlords starting to want to build
Yes.
or transform. Is that happening that you can see?
I think, I mean, there's some projects in the city's pipeline that houses, including housing. There's 2 projects that's going to be out there already. I think housing is very important because you want to house these new employees. What I did see in Pittsburgh was a redevelopment of the downtown area into apartments, and it was a 2-year waiting list to get into one of those apartments. And we're not just talking about millennials, we're talking baby boomers, we're talking the whole kit and caboodle. And so housing's important, but I think not just from an ED perspective, but from a city perspective. So yes, it's part of the greater vision and part of the greater plan. And I'd like to say, you know, we've already got 2 of those projects in the pipeline, which is great, and I think there's going to be more. So any developers out there that want to do more, come and see me, because I think there's a great opportunity to make investment here.
This is a time to
Oh,
get on
this is the
board
time.
before we start
Yeah.
having too many.
Too many. That'd be a good thing to have.
That'd be
But
right.
yeah, this is the time. I think if developers out there are really wanting to make things work, I think that right now Concord's the place to be looking at.
Great. If you're tuning in, my guest is Suzi Pegg. She's the new Economic Development Director for the City of Concord. And I guarantee you, after knowing you, Suzi, for just a few maybe a month or so,
So
that you're just hitting that ground running.
Yeah.
You probably have to hold yourself back a little bit because
Sometimes.
you're like ready to.
A bit too eager.
Right. But you're learning the lay of the land,
Yes.
and my guess is that you had a lot of that done before you even stepped foot in your new job.
I even had the social media nailed before I stepped into this. So they laughed and said, "How did you?" I said, "Oh, I knew I got that nailed before I even left Pittsburgh."
Right.
And so for me, it was preparation, but it's a journey. Everything's about a journey. And this is the right journey for me. I keep having deja vu moments like that. Okay, this is the right choice because I've had deja vu moments. But that's what it's about. And if you smile every day because you're going to work and you're going to enjoy it. I work with a great set of people. I actually call them the boys, actually. Don't tell them I call them the boys.
We won't tell anyone.
But they're just an amazing set of talented individuals that I love working with. I think the council that we've got is fantastic right now. We've got a great mayor too. That whole vision and pulling in the same direction is what's making it successful. And I think people have to realise that I'm part of the team, but we can't do it as one. We're doing it together as a team, which is fantastic.
Well, with only 5 minutes left, and you're welcome to come anytime you want to come on this show. Use this program, start your own show, whatever you want. We're here for you. Let's get this message out. And so your goals, where would you like, what are your short-term goals and what are your long-term goals?
Well, eventually I'd like to see new businesses here. That's something that's the long-term goal. Keep what we've got, attract new people, and attract new businesses. That's kind of the top three if I was doing that. My own personal goals is to go along that travel. But the short term right now is making sure we've got tools in the toolkit, such as a good website, such as marketing materials, PowerPoint. We didn't even have a PowerPoint, so PowerPoints. That's the start of the short-term stuff, and that's going to take me up to a year to get that all sorted. Like I said, things are taking a little bit longer than I expected, but once we have those tools in the toolkit, everybody can use them, not just me. I want Concord to be its own ambassadors so that they can download marketing materials or PowerPoints when they're talking to companies or suppliers and say, well, actually, come and have a look at this, and Suzi will help you because she's your personal concierge. So, Concord, you need to be my ambassadors.
And Concord TV, of course, is
Absolutely.
Here for you to help you create
Appreciate
videos
that.
and get the message out. So I know
That
that
would
you
be
already
really
have a
good.
podcast with WKXL, and then we're here to help you with videos. And
Wonderful.
so, I mean, it takes a village. I don't know who said that,
It
but it
does
just
take
takes
a
a village,
village.
right? So I think you have just a few more minutes to talk about things. But before I ask you to look at the camera and make a pitch to the community about getting to know you and how they can reach you. You're going to be on Concord On Air, and this may be here, we may be airing this after Concord On Air as well as before, which is Sunday, October 15th.
Yes.
And Suzi Pegg is going to be on between the hour of 6 and 7, introducing video clips about Concord.
Yes.
And we're excited to have you here live, 8 hours, noon to 8 p.m. Yes, the Patriots are on at 1, but watch around it. And so, 8 hours is a long time. And follow us on Facebook. How do they find you on social media right now? Okay.
At the right moment on Twitter, if you look for Suzi Pegg, Concord, you'll find me.
S-U-Z-I, right?
Pegg, you'll find me. On Facebook, it's Suzi Concord NH. Very specific. And then I also have a LinkedIn. So again, Suzi Pegg at Concord, you'd find me. Then my email's spegg@concordnh.gov if you want to email me too. But I'll take anything. But social media, follow me on social media. I actually have a global following. So it's not just Concord, it's not just Pittsburgh, it's global, I assure you.
International guru of economic development and marketing and social media usage for marketing.
Yes.
Well, Suzi Pegg, Economic Development Director of Concord, thank you so much for being on the program. This is your community TV station, so feel free to use us anytime you want.
Appreciate that.
All right.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Doris.
Always. Right. And best of luck to you and congratulations.
Thank you again.
Thank you for tuning in. I'm Doris Ballard, Executive Director of Concord TV and host of Community Conversations, and it's a TV Channel 22, Channel 17, and you can also listen to us on our podcast. So tune in Sunday, October 15th, 12 to 8 p.m., and see the wonderful people like Suzi Pegg, and watch all about Concord all day long, and you'll be impressed at everything that's happening. And check out what's going to be happening with this lady at the helm of economic development. It's going to take off, I tell you. Have a great day, everyone.
You're watching Community Conversations, a Concord TV production.